Today we're just doing a compost turn. So just removing the compost from this end pallet bay into the middle. And we've already previously done this side. So we are now filling this side again. And when we're finished today, this side will be empty. And hopefully there'll be enough in this middle one now to just let it sit and then use it when we need to. I do the pallet bay composting, which is what I learnt through Charles Dowding, and before that I was skeptical, or maybe not even skeptical, I just was using the plastic compost bins and I could never get them to compost properly. Didn't really know what to add, and that wouldn't have helped with being able to get some half decent compost out of them. So I started learning from Charles Dowding, and I find he's the easiest person to go with because, you know, all of the old wives' tales and stuff that people tell you not to put into composts, you know, he just debunks most of those and makes it just so much easier to really get into composting. And I feel like if it's your first time composting or getting into composting, he's the best person. You know, check out his videos online, and he also has this book out, and it's really awesome. I find that it's brilliant to learn from someone who is not making things very complicated, and it makes your life a lot easier. Spend more time in the garden doing things there rather than worrying about what you're doing in your compost, because he's really made it so easy. And so yeah, I recommend going to get this book, or at very least checking out Charles Dowding online and checking out his composting ideas, because he's an absolute brilliant gardener and I feel like you'll get the best out of it. And like me, I don't spend that much time composting. We bring our vegetable scraps out here and throw in. If we're cutting down anything that I'm not chopping and dropping, we chuck it in. I never question anything. If I catch mice and rats throughout the yard, or my dogs do mostly, they go in. So pretty much everything goes in. And I never worry about it. I do try to stick with, adding the greens and browns. And I didn't have a lot of browns, so I found a place that has free Jarrah sawdust, and I got a whole heap of that. So as I layer with greens, if I don't have any browns to add, I'll go get some of my sawdust out the shed and put the sawdust in just to give it some brown. But yeah, I don't really have to concentrate too much on it. And I know Charles does cover his so that they don't get too wet. And in the UK, I can understand that. I have found during summer, ours got a little bit too dry. So I was wetting it quite a lot during summer just to keep it fairly moist, because the first compost turn I did out of here was very dry. So this one here, I've actually wet a lot more. We've just got into our winter, and because this is the first time me composting, I'll have to see how this one goes when I turn it. Because I'm not covering them, so I'm allowing the rain onto it. We're not as wet here as what Charles gets in the UK. So this one I'm just sort of seeing how I go through winter onto whether I needed to cover it or not, but we'll see when I do the turn if it got too wet. But ultimately, you can see today we've had a fairly wet week, but then you've got a day like today where it's quite sunny. So yeah, I'm just going to see how it goes, because you do need to adjust things to your climate. So what I do here probably won't be ideal for where you're living, and so you just need to change a few things, and you'll learn those things, but it doesn't make it any harder. So yeah, definitely get Charles's book, have a read of that, or check him out online, and don't feel like you can't compost, and don't think that it's too difficult to do, because it really isn't. It's easy to do, and I don't have chooks or anything, so this is brilliant for me to get rid of a lot of my garbage, and especially with a lot of the councils now really reducing the amount of bin pickups and stuff you got, so it really reduces the waste, which is what we ultimately want in the end anyways. Plus we get beautiful compost out of it. So finished the turning of the compost. It looked a lot better than the first lot I turned, like from the first bay. That one was very dry and it hadn't broken down all that much. But this one, because I kept the moisture up to it during summer, was a lot better. The top layer hadn't broken down very much, but that's to be expected in the top layer. And now that's like in the middle. As you turn it, it's the first lot in, so now it's going to be sitting under and it'll start to decompose now and compost down. And yeah, so pretty happy with how that one turned out. Dogs enjoyed it, obviously, looking for mice and rats. They love it. But yeah, don't be discouraged about composting because it is really easy, and you know, as long as you've got the room for doing it, then there's really no reason not to compost. And you can use the plastic bins, so don't let me deter you by saying I couldn't really get it right. That was more because I wasn't sure what to be putting in there. So, and if I had just left it, it would have broken down regardless. I was just being impatient and I wasn't adding the right ingredients in percentage ratios of browns and greens. So don't be discouraged. If all you've got is room for a plastic bin, use a plastic bin. Just as long as you actually give it a go, I think you'll feel rewarded in doing so. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Take it easy. See you in the next one.